Hey guys, how's it going? Working on maintenance. So we're gonna do some bike maintenance tonight. And then we'll do some riding after that. Looks like maybe we need to bump up the do we need to bump up the filter, or do we just need to take it off here? Do we want to just remove the chroma key? Let's just remove it for now. What do you think? That way we get a little clearer view, right? So we're not sure how this other camera is going to work here right now, the iPad. So we're going to start with getting the bike out of the way. Hopefully you can still hear me when I'm back here. It looks like you can. So what we're going to do tonight is we're doing kicker maintenance, is the plan. We're just going to set the bike off to the side here, prop it up against some stuff, and get it out of the way. And we're gonna set the kicker up here some way. Haven't really experimented with this yet. Just want it to be stable up here on these two stools. That seems pretty good. Gonna lift up this camera a little bit here. Got a low battery here, so this will be interesting. Take the skewer out, and I didn't even bring any tools over here yet, so I'm gonna take the skewer out. I'm trying to look to see. Okay, so that just comes out there. You can see that. That's just the end piece. It looks like maybe with just some... might be able to just take that other piece out with just a adjustable wrench. This is probably a tool a little too big for the job here, but we're gonna try it here. I'm trying to do this without taking the cassette off, but I'm not sure I'm gonna be able to. Looks like we may need to try to pull the cassette for this one. So I'm going to try to pull the cassette quick. This is the first time me doing maintenance on the kicker. We're going to put the end back in here to... This is my makeshift chain whip. A nice bent Torx head. I need to purchase myself a good chain whip. So it's always the trick on like what's the right way to get the wrench on here. If I had a proper chain whip, this would be so much easier. One of these days I'll buy one. I actually had bought one once and it didn't show up in my Amazon order and I got a refund and I never reordered it. it was a chain whip pedal wrench combo, which those are like the two things I don't currently have in my tool stable. So, not much to it. There, it's off. And so it looks like I should be able to, there's just a couple of notches on this piece here. It looks like I should be able to just maybe thread this off. It is not coming loose. So, maybe we need to Google, you think? Anybody done maintenance on the hub of Oh, there it came. Yep. Ah, we don't need Google. It was just a little snug. So this is the piece that I just took off here. You see that little shoulder there? It's just enough for a wrench to bite onto. And that piece comes off. So I'm assuming that's what's holding the free hub on. Maybe. Yeah! Just had to give it a good pull. So, here's the free hub off of there now. And you see these are the paws. So when it spins, these paws are what ratchet and engage when it spins. In the old free hubs, there were bushings in here. I'm trying to see if this one has bushings like the old one. I'm not feeling bushings. This one feels like bearings. So I think there might be bearings inside this one. There's a little bushing here. Definitely something I want to clean up here. So let me get some paper towels and we'll wipe some of this out. The part where I screwed up here, I think. Need to get me a chair over here. Alright. Just getting a chair over here so my back doesn't hurt so bad. So we're going to clean up inside here just a little bit with the paper towel. Wiping off any excess grease. That's all we're doing here. Hey Pimp, what's up, buddy? So I've got yeah, we're just doing kicker maintenance here. It's the first time doing the maintenance on the Jin, on the 2018 kicker. So cleaning up the shaft here, and then the bushing here, getting it cleaned up. It is definitely a lot different than the I just lose. Oh, there it goes. Definitely a lot different than the 16 kicker and the Gen 1 kicker that I had for sure. So there's not much lubricant on this one actually. I'm not. I will grease this up a lot better than what it was from the factory, I believe here. As hard as I use this, we're going to put a little extra grease on some pieces here. Part I'm not sure about here is, like, there's bearings here. I'm debating about here. I think I'm going to try it. So what I'm debating about here is picking the bearings out, or the seal off of this outer bearing. So if you look inside here, you can see that in there. Inside there, you see that black, so it's this is a bearing inside the center part here. There's a silver ring on the inside, then a black ring, then a silver ring on the outside. I think I'm going to try to pick that black ring out, which is just a dust seal, and see if I can get a little grease down in there. Okay, so this is interesting here. So if you look inside here, let me move my finger on the inside here. Can you get a, you can't get a very good image in there, can you? You can't see down in there very well. I need to get it up where maybe you can see that. There's a bushing in the middle of the two bearings on the inside here. And I was trying to look to see. I don't think we can get the bearings out, or the bushings out of the free hub. But we can get things cleaned up inside there. And I don't think I'm going to be able to grease the rear bearing, but I think I can grease the front bearing. So I'm going to look for something just to pick that bearing out quick. I'll be right back. Ooh. Stepped on a gel wrapper, almost wiped out. So in order to pick these bearing seals out, I usually just take a razor blade, get underneath an edge of it, and kind of pop it up. Yep, got it out. So there's the seal off that bearing, and you can see then there. Now you can see the loose ball bearings inside there. So we're going to put a little extra grease inside there, I think. But I don't think we can get into this back bearing. Because these are... That rear one is a little different. I'm looking for my grease. I think it's over across the room here. I got my tub of grease. And, oh, I don't have my, oh, there it is. So in my tub of grease, I usually have like a toothpick or a nail or something like that. So I had a nail inside there. What I'm doing is trying to get a glob of grease on the end of this nail and kind of just rub it down into that bearing a little bit. Kind of hard to actually get the grease to come out of there onto this nail. There, I got some. And then work it around in there. And on these types of jobs, you can't be afraid to get your hands dirty. So all I'm doing is kind of gave up on the nail. I'm using my finger and I'm just rubbing a little bit of grease inside this shaft Making sure we're getting all the different sections kind of covered. Alright. We got the inside section pretty well done. You can see I kind of made a little bit of a mess down in there, but there's green grease on everything now. And I'm going to pop the bearing seal back on it. And then I'll clean the excess off the outside of it. But we lubed the little ball bearings a little bit inside that one. And we also lubed down the center shaft of the free hub there. And then now I'm just going to wipe the excess off the outside edge of the bearing here. So where this shaft up here goes down the center, there's quite a bit of just a light coat of lube there. But the front edge of the bearing we've cleaned up now, back to the way it was. So that's the free hub. The other part we're going to do is all of these, what we call the paws, all these engagement points, we're going to put just a little bit of grease inside these. These are all wear points within the free hub. So just trying to reduce the wear as much as you can inside the free hub here is all I'm trying to do. Oh, you're welcome, buddy. You're welcome. Anytime, man. Did you have a good ride? I'm just getting a little bit of grease on each one of those now. I don't know how well you can see that or not. A little bit of grease in each one of those engagement points. We're going to set that down there. Now this piece this is a bushing that is going to go on the inside of the shaft here. And this one I'm going to lube up pretty good. I'm actually just going to set it down in the grease just a little bit on each end. The reason for that is, while this is a different type of bushing than what the other kickers took, this was the primary wear item that went bad on the other kickers, was this bushing that went in behind the free hub. So it looks like this is a little different design. But we're going to make sure that one's lubed up good. So we got that piece lubed up now. Now we're just going to lightly lube the inside of the shaft here, and then we're going to be good, I think. So just a little bit of lube around this entire shaft. Glad to hear you had a good stream last night too, Pimp. Great to see all the people on streaming the Zwift here lately, riding their bikes online, getting a good community growing for all the different cycling stuff. It's so much different seeing this stuff, the physical activity on streams now versus just the gameplay. So pretty cool to see. I might be overdoing how much we're lubing all this here, but trying to Trying to get some lube way down in there on some tight spots there. There we go. That's what I wanted. Alright. We have got that all lubed up now. We're going to slide this bushing on. I'm going to wipe a little bit of extra grease out of here. Actually going to. Now when you slide this on, it's pretty straightforward, but just you turn it in the direction that kind of pushes the free hubs, the paws down, and they engage. You notice how it's nice and quiet now. That's because it's got excess grease on those paws. It's going to be a little bit quieter on the free hub side of it with all of that, but I just took it off to spread around a little bit of the grease that's down in there, and then put it back in there. So on an outdoor free hub, I wouldn't put that much grease on the paws, and I wouldn't use this kind of grease. I'd use a lighter grease because on a bike that goes outdoors, though, the temperature is going to get cold enough sometimes that grease might get hard and not allow the paws to work right. But on an indoor trainer like this, that's not a big concern. So I don't get as concerned about that. So putting this back together just the way it was. I'm quick gonna throw on the spacers. So this was pretty snug before. I'm not gonna go too tight on it. There we go. And then now I think we can put the cassette back on. Cassette's pretty straightforward. I could probably do this now without taking the cassette off now that I know how it works. Uh-oh. Keep this all together here. Each one of these individual pieces are... Sometimes it's easier just to take them off and slide them on one at a time. We'll see if we can get these to go here. Hey, thanks for the sub, John. I appreciate that. Man, there has been a ton of subs lately, and I really, really appreciate it, guys. Just a guy in my basement riding my bike, so I'm loving the support you guys are giving me. So I didn't do this cassette the easy way, did I? That's alright. Alright. Last piece. There it goes. Put the ratchet on. This doesn't have to be super tight, but get a couple good stiff clicks into it. So the other pieces that I'm gonna lube here, this is what allows the kicker climb to work, to pivot at the base of it. So this piece I'm gonna put a little bit of grease on as well. While it doesn't have as much movement, it's the up and down movement of the bike on this shaft, so just putting a real light film of grease on that one. And gonna slide it back in here. And then actually on the other side, there's a similar piece on the other side that I'm gonna do the same thing with. Just a little bit of lube on it. Alright, a little bit of lube in there. And that piece is back in too. Then we're going to put the skewer back in. And then I think we're all wrapped up for this part. Once we're done with this, guys, we are going to get on and ride. So we're going to do a ride that starts here in about 25 minutes, a group ride. It's the SCC, Spin City Cycles group ride that goes every Wednesday night, same time. This is the ride that's got some local guys in it, or local hour. It's run by a shop that's about an hour and a half away from me. So, so guys, to go over what we did here, minimal tools needed. Cassette tool, chain whip to take the cassette off. We just used adjustable wrench to take the big collar off the end of the free hub and let the free hub come off. And then I used just a razor knife to pull the front edge off of the dust cover off of a bearing and lube a bearing good. And then the lube that I used is just standard old Park grease, Park Tools grease. And we lubed, we cleaned everything up in there a little bit, and then just lubed the bearings, lubed the shaft and the bushings inside there, reassembled thing. The paws, we got the paws good. You can hear now. And sorry, I'm maxing out the mic too, ain't I? We lubed all this stuff good, and then hopefully I wasn't killing my sound too bad there, guys. You can tell that the free hub's a little bit quieter now. We lubed the points that the bike spins on the dropouts here. And that was about it. That pretty well took care of it. So that was the main maintenance points, I guess, that we did. I'm going to try to flip this over, guys, and see. I don't know if this is going to work or not. It will. It just, it closes it, doesn't it? Yeah. That's all right. Alright, so we're going to take this down. Just going to wipe off some of my greasy fingerprints. Wipe some of this off just a little bit. It's actually not too dirty. I cleaned it off not that long ago. But I think we're good now for about another, 2-3 months on the kicker. We'll lift it off of here. Set it back down in its spot. Plug it back in, and it should be ready to rock and roll. Pick up a couple tools here. I'm gonna shut this one off. We'll leave the other cameras on for now. So throw the tools out of the way. Get the stools out of the way. And now we'll remount the bike. We also had a new thing we had turned on today for the stream. It actually worked pretty well. We haven't had a lot of messages here, but I've got it set up where Restream reads the messages to me in my earphones. So I don't have to stop and look at the screen while I'm doing work like this if you guys want to talk to me. So that actually worked pretty well. Trying to get things adjusted here. All right. We can we're gonna shut the mirroring off on this. I'm gonna pair real quick up to the kicker and do a quick spin down. Don't even have my cycling clothes on yet. We're gonna do a spin down quick. It's not pairing up yet. It sees it, but it's not making the handshake yet. Notice how much quieter my FreeHub is now? You don't hear my FreeHub at all. I don't know why the kicker does this. It did this earlier too. I had to... I unplugged it and plugged it back in to to get it to pair out earlier. But I just plugged it in from having it unplugged to do the service. And there, boom, it connected. I don't know. It's a nuisance. No big deal, just a nuisance. Alright. Alright, performing spin down. Alright, while that's doing the spin down, guys, you can hear it. Could definitely increase the time of my spin down. Definitely made a difference there. Alright, it's calibrated. I'm gonna bump the Swift app on quick. And gotta go change my clothes. And then we'll be getting onto a group ride here in about 15 minutes. So I'm gonna mute the mic so I can lift up my table here and not blast you guys out. Alright, got the mic back on. Get the iPad out of the way. Plug the phone in. Throw it up here. Alright. Gonna turn on our Garmin and our Wahoo Element. Get those locked in place. We will be right back, guys. Gonna go change our clothes and wash our hands. Alright guys, we're back in the room now, but we're changing our clothes. We are not on camera. But we'll be getting ready to ride here in just a minute. Alright, we're moving over now. Let's get some filtering going here. Get your chroma key back on. And get Swift fired up. All right. Let's go over to here. We should be ready to rock and roll now. Not sure why my background color isn't completely cutting out, but it'll get better here as we get going in the race. Getting our shoes on. Gonna look straight down here. Wonder how this camera image will be. Trying to see what you're seeing here. Oh, you're seeing the floor. You see I'm setting a fan up right there to blow straight up on me. Probably the only fan I'm gonna run today, other than a fan on the kicker. All right. Guess I need to put a heart rate strap on, don't I? Heart rate or it doesn't count. Isn't that the way they rule it now? Oh, where's my heart rate strap? There it is. Ah. We're going to calibrate the power meter again. Setting the Garmin up. The element bolt is set up. We're gonna jump into the SCC progressive ride. Let's get our mic over here a little closer and hey Charlie, what's up, man? Kicking on a second fan here. Looks like we gotta set our filter up a little bit here. All right. It's called multi-stream. So if you search for multi-stream, that's where you need to get it. Let me look, multi-stream. But it's a funky thing here. I'll cut and paste in it for you. It's a little funky. buddy Ed giving me a ride on. Okay, let's cut a little bit of chroma key here. Got a little too much blue showing. That looks a little better, yeah? Yeah. So, we got an issue here. Maybe it's just with the link, right? Alright. Let's join our event here in a minute. This is a Richmond event. Gonna enter my food for the day. We need to get our filter running here for the mic too. Mic's hanging open. All right. Got the fans running now. We're gonna get the filters set. Alright. We should be good now for the filter. Yeah, I think we're good now. Just checking real quick. See how things sound. I think we got it. Alright. Just had to do a quick sound check. Minute 50 till we ride. Nice big ride here. 65 guys. That's pretty impressive. "30 seconds, let's switch bikes quick. Tron bike, where's the Tron bike? There we go. Hey, Bass Salts, what's up, buddy? So I've got Restream reading my messages to me now.
I'll let you guys hear it too for a little bit. So I just turned it on. If I get a message, you guys will hear it in stream. So that was really good when I was working on the bike, because I wasn't staring at the screen, and I would know as soon as I got a message, it would read it to me. Guys. So Bath Salts, we did the kicker maintenance before we started the ride tonight. Turning the mic down a little bit.
We a Bath Salts, I have good day. They're now big shit show over in Swift Power.
Well, you heard it here. First time I let it read it on the air. Bath Salt swears. Is it in the chat room thing or whatever over there? The WBR room? They're having a battle? So Bath Salts, did they give you a reason? Did they at least tell you why? So you had a basis to defend yourself? My numbers are like spot on. 3 watts difference for a 30-second average. Oh, it's a mass start race, right? Is there a rule against other people helping you out? Like, did Choppa join a wrong category or something? Like, where's that? Is that a rule? So if Choppa didn't break a rule, and you weren't riding on a unappropriate rider, right? Like a Z-Power or somebody that was clearly a flyer, then they need to set up their race differently. If they don't want A's or B's to impact the C's, then they need to make them not visible in the race. Right? I don't know. It's that's a tough one to enforce. So Bath Salts joined the C group. Was it still a bunch sprint? Bath Salts, like, did you break away with Choppa or anything? Or was it still a pack sprint? I would probably get pretty pissy about that one. Bath salts, to be real honest with you. But like, I get the no racing tonight, Weebles. I had to race earlier today, so I don't think I'm gonna race anything like that tonight. Yeah, bath salts, unless you broke away with them, like got off the front with them, used them in your advantage, something like that, they almost have to DQ everyone that was in the pack with them if they're gonna DQ you. Yes, you have a relationship with him. Yeah. Yeah, I wasn't supposed to race today, bath salts. Justin Purificati was having a snowstorm and having some spotty internet issues this morning, and things weren't looking very good for him. So we looked for a sub, and I was the only available sub today. So I raced today. Pretty much my normal finish in an all-star race, like 12th, 13th. So I'm super happy about the finish. So it was my normal finish, but I've usually been 3rd or 4th in my team in every race that I've been in, and I was 2nd for my team today. I was only 2 places behind Jason. And 2 places ahead of Zimmerman. And Drujan struggled in the sprint. It was a crazy fast lead out. So Drujan got like 30th. But I think we were 11th, 13th, and 15th or something like that. So, yeah, maybe the good night's sleep helped me. The 3 races the day before didn't help me. But I wasn't super buried from a fatigue perspective. So I think even though I had 3 races yesterday, I wasn't super... Wait, what? They suspended you because Choppa helped you in races? Okay. I might have a few conversations about that one, bath salts. Never a warning, never a discussion about Choppa joining the races. They just decided after 3 league races that they're gonna DQ you and Zwift Power ban you for 45 days. While there was no power cheating, no joining the wrong category, no weight doping, just simply your buddy joined a race with you and they didn't feel like he should have. I hope Choppa got suspended too. I mean, really, he's the one that joined when he shouldn't have. That's also, I might do a little lobbying on your behalf. They either need to clarify what happened, that it was much more of a violation than what we believe it was. I mean, I know I've had people whine to me when I start as an A and I drop back and I help Bs or whatever. Like, I know people don't like that. But it's not a rule either. I've never been warned by an organizer or a Zwift Power or anybody. I've had people whine about it, like on Zwift Racers, and within the team, like catch flack for it. So I don't do it much anymore, just because I don't want to hear the people cry about it. But, you're not breaking a rule. If anybody's breaking a rule, it's Choppa, because he's joining a lower category. But just because you're friends with Choppa, you shouldn't be punished for that. If they don't like what he's doing, they need to ban him, not you. Unless you went off the front with him, that's a punishment for Choppa, not for you. That's interesting. I don't know. You should be able to race with Choppa Bath South. As long as he joins his group and you join your group, you race. That's the way it is, man. Where's the rule that was broken? I don't get it. I understand the complaint, but you didn't break a rule. That at least wouldn't have been a, hey, don't do this anymore. There shouldn't be that major of repercussions for an unwritten rule that they would decide to enforce. That's probably my biggest beef with it is, like I understand the frustration from the other riders, right? So they feel like Choppa's there to help you. You've got this unfair advantage. He shouldn't be a C category. Like, okay, whatever. Like I said, if you didn't get completely off the front with him, I don't see the advantage you gain. But I didn't watch the races, I don't know. But that would be Choppa's rule you violated, not yours. Unless you actually went solo with him. But did they ask you to stop? I guess that's... Like, I get what they're calling it. But that's a gray area. Like, you physically weren't in violation of a rule. Your friend was coming to, as they viewed it, race on to help you. But there wasn't no blatant help in the race. So just some random rider in the race complained to you. No, that needs to come from WBR. WBR needs to reach out to you and say, hey, we're getting some complaints about this. You know, we don't like the precedent that it's setting. But still, I still don't think it's your burden to bear. I think it's Choppa's. I think it needs to be reached out to Choppa and say, if you enter this race again, we're going to DQ you. And if it continues to happen, we're going to DQ Basalt. But the primary burden should have been on Choppa. And the primary repercussion should have been on him, not you. Yeah, there should be a warning. Even on the crazy guys before, when we were in Zada days, even the people that go out and ride a freaking 5.5 bullshit power, they got 3 shots at it. Come on. Like I said, if you rode off the front or had blatant cheating, I get it. Like, they're not going to be tolerant of that, but not sprints, not pack racing. Yeah, that's my point. Even if he influenced the race, overall, if he didn't specifically, if Bath Salts didn't get the primary benefit from that and everybody else lose, it's still Choppa's violation, not Bath Salts. It just sits well to me. It sits wrong to me just because it's a few guys making a subjective call. If that was Steve and David, who we don't know, and did that, they wouldn't even know. Like, they're singling you guys out because they know you guys have a relationship. But 95% of the riders, they don't know their personal relationships. You have to... Yeah, you... You can't be that subjective. Like, I agree if they wanted to reach out to you, Bath Salts, and ask you to stop and you didn't stop, or Choppa didn't stop, like having some repercussions for that, I would have been fine with that. But just throwing down the hammer when a ton of other guys could be doing the same thing and you'd never even know. Hey, Peekaboo, thanks for the follow. Really appreciate that. I'm gonna poke around a little bit on this one. I at least know the Zwift Power guys. I can probably find out who they're talking to at WBR. And at least try to show them or express to them that if they can't do it consistently, this needs to be a little bit more informal requests, and when a rider disregards the request, then take action. This is part of what we struggled with Zada, and a lot of these same people were involved, is there was this outside impression that we were picking on specific riders, which is very much what this leads the impression to be too. They got burned hard on that with the Zada stuff and the ZRVG stuff. That they should have learned their lesson from that. Just because you know the person in the community doesn't mean they should be judged through a different lens or have a different set of rules. Choppa and Basalt are two separate riders in a race. They happen to know that they're associated with one another, but there's no formal association there, and they can't treat it that way. Yeah, that's alright. Okay guys, I'm gonna turn this voice back on because it's hysterical. The way it pronounces names. It's Frank Deladunk is the name it keeps pronouncing to me, and it's pretty hysterical.
We are bath salts. I will not say bad word this time.
It's alright, bath salts.
Frank Deladunk. This road was just renamed by the city of Richmond to Arthur Ashe Boulevard.
Oh, nice. As long as you're not dropping F-bombs, Basalts, we're good. I think we are still fairly kid-friendly. As long as we don't have F-bombs.
We are bath salts, tennis player. Frank Deladunk, yes. Frank Deladunk, used to just be Boulevard.
So I can also adjust it where it doesn't read the name, it just reads the text. I am gonna make one adjustment though. I can get rid of the notifications on new messages if it's going to read them to me. Now at least it won't beep before it reads, it'll just read. It might be interesting to have the chat read in stream sometimes when we're just riding and chatting, because then you guys that are watching at home, I know I do this a lot where I listen and I'm, you know, like I've got it on my TV and I'm on Facebook and stuff like that, where I'm not reading the chat as much.
Nerdy Black Hat, say my name.
Nice. They nailed Nerdy Black Cat. They got that one down.
Nerdy Black Hat.
I probably
Are you
will.
racing tomorrow?
Yeah, I probably will.
Frank Deladunk, Kiss Community or Rockets Finesse Series.
I don't know, Frank. I need to look at the times. I guess the Kiss one, right?
We have bath salts, Rockets.
I want to do Rockets, to be honest with you, but the team is in on the Kiss one too, so.
We have bath salts, both.
I'm not sure about double races. We'll see. I may do a lunch in an evening. It is Valentine's Day. That's kind of a big deal, right? Hey, thanks, Westy. Tyler, you better look out. I know somebody coming for you.
W_E_S_T_Y. Haha.
It's a duel. So somebody asked in one of my private chats today, is Westy that's commenting on all the streams?
LOL.
Is that Alex West? And I said, no, that's Tyler West. He's a solid A racer. Strong guy. And Alex West is. I challenge him to a duel for the name West. Westy. So.
W_E_S_T_Y. Omiha. W_E_S_T_Y. Alright, show your time and dinner. Right on.
See you, Westy, man. Have a good one.
W_E_S_T_Y. I got the new scaper for kick, night, and day difference so far.
Oh, awesome, Westy. Yeah, when you get a few minutes, I want to hear more about that. I want to know how your power is doing, all that. But if you got a shower now, that's no biggie. Come back and watch my VOD, too. I did the maintenance on mine at the beginning of this ride. Pulled the free hub off and did all that stuff. This one's made a little different than the earlier models, so you might be interested in that.
W_E_S_T_Y. Yet I will for sure gonna drop these file into DC after shower. I'll follow.
Hey, Nike Dent, thanks, man. I appreciate that.
We a bath salts, Chupa say, tell Casey Choppa is crazy. And he knows it. He just texted me that from his room. LOL.
What's up, Choppa? Choppa, why you do a brother like that, man? Like I said, I've done similar things and I've gotten in trouble for it. And looking at it from the alternate perspective, I understand the argument. So,
Carrie Star 86. For
not
a second
condoning
I thought
the
this
action.
was TGIF, and I got really confused.
So I'm not condoning the action, nor disagreeing with the complaint. I'm disagreeing with the action taken. I believe it's extreme and can't be, it's too subjective and inconsistent, or not able to be consistent. So I believe it was handled very poorly. Carissa, you're on my list tonight, too. Thanks, Choppa.
Carrie Star 86.
Yeah, it's a
that's
good list.
list.
It's a good list. I owe some typing time to you. I love the ride on emote.
Carrie Star 86.
We got the chat reader going tonight for the first time.
Frank Deladunk, gotta get the kids to bed. Have a good ride. I'll be streaming on the rollers in a bit. I'll get a mic soon.
Sounds good, Frank. I may tune in. This would have been a good roller ride. But then we can't test out the kicker with the new lube and stuff in it too. It is nice and quiet. These guys are super chill and steady here. Hopefully I'm not violating rules. I'm not really paying attention to my power. I just seem to be staying with them pretty well. Basalts, if you don't mind, I'm going to send a few messages this evening. I probably won't get responses until tomorrow on, but I'd like to politely discuss with a few powerful members if this might have been a little bit over the top.
What was I miss what you say?
I said if it's all right with you, I would like to
Carry Star 86
reach out to a few people in positions of power, so to speak, to discuss your situation, and that maybe it was a little too extreme.
We a bath salts. Okay, sound good to me.
Try not to argue, but have a discussion. Play a little bit of devil's advocate because I think it was a bit extreme. And I think it's good for the people in those positions to have a little bit of a gut check on those things too. Because you don't want them, you know, on a regular basis making those kinds of decisions. Like, I'm okay with them being heavy-handed for obvious cheaters. Like the, you know, manipulating equipment, you know, that kind of stuff. I mean, there's a few of those out there, right? But, this kind of weird, I think you're sandbagging, but you didn't break out of any categories. And this guy that I know is your buddy showed up to a race.
Yep, I see that.
It's too wishy-washy to be that heavy-handed with. The DQ should be a result of not respecting the request of a organizer, right?
Carry Star 86. I have things to say, but don't necessarily want the chat reader saying them.
I can turn the chat reader off. Chat reader's off, if you want to type it. Unless you just don't want it in writing, Carissa. And I don't know, Carissa, if you know the backstory here. We've been talking about it a little bit tonight. I haven't read the Zwift Power stuff. So you guys can't hear the chat reader now. I can, but you can't. Well, I'll give you my summary, okay? My summary is basically Basalt was DQ'd from like 3 WBR races. And I looked at him yesterday and I was like, well, his power's not... Like, the people that won the race had higher powers than Basalt's. Like they can't just DQ you on power. And they didn't communicate with Basalt's, they just DQ'd him. So I was kind of scratching my head like, this feels bad. Like, if it was based on power, you didn't break any rules. Like, we can debate about whether Basalt's really a B or not. And I think that's an honest debate still. But if you're looking at the numbers in those races, he didn't violate any rules. Nor has he broken out of the C category numbers for months. So, like, on the surface of things, couldn't figure out what the hell was going on. So I was kind of scratching my head yesterday. So the update from Basalt's today was he's now got a 45-day DQ on Zwift Power. Yeah, I'm okay with that. I agree with them policing that gray area. What I struggled with was today, there still hadn't been discussion with bath salts, and he got a 45-day DQ. I think their first course of action needs to be a discussion with the rider, right? To say, this is what we think, this is what we believe, or this is the gray area action we see happening. We'd like this to get resolved, or we will have to enforce something. Like, the no discussion with a rider, and then a 45-day DQ. Just to add to that, Carissa, I was looking at numbers to start with, but what they came back with, I guess, is their biggest beef was the fact that Choppa was joining the races. So they were upset that Choppa was joining Bath Salt's races, even though Choppa wasn't finishing the races. Choppa wasn't, Bath Salts and Choppa weren't riding off the front, so it wasn't like a follow a flyer kind of scenario, but Choppa was in the race, and they know Choppa and Bath Salts know one another. So it's like, I get them being upset about it, but there's still not a black and white rule violation. You need to have the conversation with the rider to say, this needs to stop. Right. Like, that has to be a dialogue with the rider to say this needs to stop, or else this is going to be the... If it's not written in the rules, like no heart rate results in a DQ, it's not written in the rules, and it isn't blatant manipulation of equipment, then it's got to be a dialogue with the rider to say, we aren't going to tolerate this any longer. Or maybe even we're going to take away this individual race result because of this, but not a 45-day ban or DQ. No, and that's what I was saying, Carissa. I've been called out for it. Like, I've been called out for joining an A race and dragging back to a B race. So, yeah, no, I agree with the irritation, right? Like, I agree with the complaint. I don't agree with the consequence. Because how do I know in a race I join tomorrow, in a C race, that Dave and Mike aren't working together? I just don't know it because it's not Choppa and Bath Salts and I don't know them. Like, you can't really know unless they're longtime community members. So, that's a really, really gray area. You gotta have that dialogue. Well, honestly, you gotta have that dialogue because on the other side of it, guys, we've seen this, right? The turmoil in social media. Like, you're gonna have the free bath salts movement, right? Like, you just stepped in a big old pile of shit. Bath salts, see, I said it. You weren't the only one. I mean, when you appear to be singling out someone who's pretty popular in the community and maybe being a little heavy-handed with them, or don't have the real good rule to back up what you did, you really start... yeah, but you really step in a big old shit show. Because in the end, I mean, I'll be honest, like, it's not good for Zwift Racing for Bath Salts to be DQ'd. Like, Bath Salt's a fun personality in the races, and in the community. Like, that's not good for Zwift racing. And the people running those platforms shouldn't feel like that's a, you know, a good thing to do. So, that's enough on that, I think. It's the same struggle I have in the A and the A+. Zwift Power does not put me in an A+ category. Yeah, I upgraded myself, Carissa, because I was never going to break the boundary. I don't race hard enough to do that. Even in the Super League races, I'm not breaking the boundaries. So, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I did it just because a lot of people laugh at me like, you're an A+, but I don't know, it's tough. So I get the sandbaggers argument now though too. Like, I think it's the it's back to the unintended consequences we talk about a lot. In a lot of things in our lives, but on Zwift a lot too. You know, a lot of things change physically in the game, or innovating racing and things like that. But sometimes there's unintended consequences, and I think this might be a case of that. My Zwift Power telling you a category, the unintended consequence is people can play dumb to, well, Zwift Power says I'm an A. I'm an A. Why am I an A+? I haven't broken a rule. When the spirit of the rule is your FTP is above those numbers, not you have physically done those numbers in a race. The real boundary is this is your ability for 5 minutes, and this is your ability for 20 minutes. It is not whether you have done it in the last 90 days, but it's whether you are capable of doing it. But because they've assigned categories based on what you've done, people hide behind that too much. So I think it's a negative consequence to, I mean, they were trying to fix a problem, and I understand what they were doing by assigning the categories. But it only busts people out. Right. Yeah. I agree. It's not whether I could have done it today. Like, if I've been able to do it in the last 90 days, you should still be that today, right? Like, oh, my legs are soft today. I'm really fatigued, so I'm going to race as a B. It's your fitness has allowed you to do it in the last 90 days. Yeah, I agree, Carissa. I actually think their ranking system on Zwift Power is probably doing a pretty good job of that now. Hey, Tyler. Like, because I can't consistently beat the guys at the top of the list anymore. And, you know, I'm ranked like 50th or 60th. And like, oh, that feels right to me. Got a kick to get back in the group here. Something happened.
Can you dig it?
It might be. Did they say that? I'm not paying any attention. It might be. I'm busy talking. Somebody was asking about my headphones. It just said charge me. I think I missed the race call. That's all right. One of the groups I'm in, Basalt, actually has a Zwift Power admin in it. So, we'll see what they have to say in the morning. we've had a little discussion in that group this evening. I may be the next one to get a ban for unsportsmanlike, right? How dare you question the king? Yeah, they are. I'll start getting messages about 2 a.m. By the time I get up in the morning, I'll have about 10 people pissed off at me. That's usually the way these things go. Like I said, I'm not advocating that nothing was done that shouldn't have been addressed by race organizers, but what they choose to throw down heavy on and what they choose to turn a blind eye to just makes no sense to me. We got one guy stinking up A races all the time. He rides his cork and gets dropped, and he rides his mooin and beats us all. And it's very clear that it's one or the other. I mean, black and white. Crushing us one day, getting his ass spit out the back the next. And they completely ignore that. And, you know, why are they scared to address that? Because honestly, that's a little more clear violation of the rule, because he's been told by many people in the community to race the other equipment. He will even say that he is racing the crank power meter. And there's been times where he's posted Instagram pictures. Well, the race organizer gave him a three race DQ, you know, backwards, like for the 3 previous races. And then it sounds like ZP gave him a March 31st, a DQ until March 31st. So, sounds like a little of both, Carissa. Yeah. I wouldn't be as fired up about it, honestly, if it was just the race organizer. Because I think you could just reach out to them. You know, and it's like, oh, you can go race other races. Move on. You know, lesson learned, oh well. But I think the full Zwift Power DQ is too much. Like I said, there's many instances out there. Not always this flagrant, but the one, you know, that claims they're always racing on their crank power has posted pictures on Instagram with the Quark bike hanging on the wall behind him in a race. It's like, how you racing on your Quark when it's on the wall behind you? But those are the ones that just, it burns me because it just shows the inconsistency. And I don't know why they choose which fight to have, you know? There's just a lot of that crap out there. And I'm okay, like, I'm not on the... I don't get on the hammer hunt or any of that crap. Like, if you bought a hammer because hammer was a good piece of equipment And, you know, 3 months later, you found out that Hammer over-exaggerates the sprint by 100 watts, but that's what you bought and that's all you got. Man, race the damn thing. Who cares? Now, if you're sitting on a kicker and you're ready to buy a new device, I don't even care what you're on right now. If you're in the market for a new trainer and you purposely go buy a Hammer because it's more generous on a sprint, and that is believed to be an inaccurate generosity, I will say, then I think that's wrong. But if you've already got it, and you bought it without that knowledge and without that premise, race the damn thing. Who cares? Like, it's not perfect. It's the same thing with like a Neo. I'm okay if you don't buy a Neo because Neo does that power smoothing that takes away your sprint. Because I think that's a false takeaway of your sprint on the Neo. Like, the kicker is more instantaneous with the power response. My headphones died. So like, I understand people wanting to buy a different trainer to get to something more accurate in the spirit of that. But, I just, I don't know. Feels bad. I'll just say that. Feels bad. I feel bad for the people that get caught in the middle of it. That's the hard part. So my biggest thing with any judgment that they make, if they can't reliably and consistently enforce it, it needs to be treated a little differently with like a warning structure and allow the rider an opportunity to correct the action. It should only really be immediate action taken if it can be very clearly proven and very consistently enforced. So that was my argument with some of the things that went on back in the Zada days, where they'd be like, oh, we're going to DQ this rider because they've done X. And I'm like, well, can you go through the entire database and flag all the riders that have done X? Well, like, that'd DQ like 40 people. But we don't think they're actually cheating. But this one is. I'm like, well, but you got to be consistent, right? Like, you can't. Yeah, so when, and it's not that the person maybe may not deserve the punishment, but you can't make up a bullshit reason for it. You got to give them a reason that's consistent, that you can consistently enforce. If you give them a crap reason, then they can go out there and say, well, there's these 30 other people that have done the same thing that you say I did, and they didn't get reprimanded, then you've got an issue. So, better things in the Zwift world today. What are some good things going on right now? So if you guys haven't seen it, Zwift Insider, they put out the course profile and the course write-up on the Watopia Figure 8 course. This course is the course that all the national championships are going to be on. That's exciting, right? And there's this awesome dude that gave him all the info on the course. You get this awesome rider's knowledge. This guy that's done like 400 Zwift races gives you all the secrets that dominating that course. Westy, how did that relate to it from before? How much did it change from before? So if you guys don't know, I was the one that did the, I was the writer from the community that gave Zwift Insider a write-up on the figure 8. Yeah. That race is gonna hurt. It actually dawned on me. I need to find out. Does anybody know? Yeah, Westy, I would be curious, and that's more what I'm curious about, like, your power tendencies. Did they change much with the change in the spacer? Because I'm assuming your spin down times went up. Like, the spin down took a little longer. Kicker still reads higher, okay.
Everything changes.
I need to change my default browser. Let me try something here. Gosh dang it. It gave me a login link again.
Life.
Yeah, make it public. There you go. But it's also annoying me, like, Edge is my default browser, and I hate Edge. So if I click on a link, it's opening it in Edge, and I want it to open in Chrome. Yeah, so this is opening up. It's trying to open up. Maybe. My battery died. Right? My pedal battery died. Like, wait, what the hell happened?
Life.
Need to plug the pedals in. Hey, Zwift. Tell me when my batteries are low. Carissa, was one of your questions, what is one thing that you would add to Zwift if you could make a request? I'd like to modify that answer now. Because I bitch about this about every 6 weeks. Low battery! Low battery! Tell me! It's usually... This damn battery has went dead on me like 3 times when I'm halfway up a mountain in a race. From a data perspective, I want low battery, and I want it to record left-right. It didn't. Let me try it again. It just pulled me up to a blank page. Ah, I got it now. I got it now. Okay. I'm sorry, this cracks me up. I'm turning the reader back on for a second. This cracks me up. It won't read Westy's name. It spells it. So, Kicker's overall power average 9
W
8 watts high
underscore S underscore
at
T underscore Y
250.
W underscore E underscore S underscore T underscore Y.
You're 3%. That's within your margin of errors. So overall, that's good.
Carry star 86, LOL.
Heat is part of it, right?
W
So
underscore E underscore
we're
S
warmed up
underscore
here.
T underscore Y.
Let's-
3% today.
let's grab the end of it. At the end of it, we're 5 watts. So as it heats up, we're down to less than 2%, right at 2%. And this is pretty typical trait of the,
We have bath salts that close.
yeah, this is pretty close. This is pretty typical of the Gen 1 kicker here. This little bit higher kick.
W underscore E underscore S underscore T underscore Y. Weak left food.
Yeah, we did that, I mean, Westy, I would be farther off than this with my stages and my kicker. I'm about 3 or 4% on a ride like I'm doing right now. I'm about 3 or 4% low on my stages because of the left foot thing. So,
W underscore E underscore S underscore
Yeah,
T
race it.
underscore Y. So am I safe to race with kicker and Zwift?
yeah, race
Stages
it.
drops power so much in Zwift.
No doubt about it. If you asked, I would say probably 90% of the top A racers would ask you, if you ask them, they would ask you or recommend you, without even looking at the numbers, they'd say, I'd prefer you be on your kicker. They trust the kicker more. Stages can be low, but stages can also be high by just doubling power. So, in general, and I think this is an unfair statement of the stages. So, I think stages is perfectly accurate for what it does. And what it does is it doubles your left leg power. And it is perfect for that. So, I don't have an issue with the stages. I think some guys are hard on them. A lot of guys basically call them random number generators. Or fairly decent power estimators. And I think that's being a little too tough on them. The stages is no different than a single-sided pedal, anything like that. I mean, it's,
Carry star 86. Normally power meter ranks
Yeah.
higher than a smart trainer. Stages gets a bad rap.
yeah, I think most, high-end racing groups would pick a crank-based or dual-sided power
Carry
meter
star 86.
over,
I use quad indoors and stages
a smart
outdoors
trainer.
and don't notice a big difference.
yeah, Carissa, I measured mine the other day. I had the other bike on here, and we did stages versus pedals. And my left side pedal matches my stages. Really close. But my overall power is about 3 or 4% low on my stages because I'm right leg dominant. So I can prove mine. It's not significant, but I mean, it's 3 or 4%. So, I mean, it's a fair amount when you start doing hard efforts. But I think in general, a double-sided quality power meter or a crank-based quality power meter is going to typically be the most trusted. And I think behind that, it's going to be a high-quality power meter. Or, I'm sorry, smart trainer. Your Neos, your kickers, your hammers, Dorito. Those are the big ones that are pretty well trusted. So, stages, I have no issue with them, but I also, for you, Westy, I wouldn't mess with the stages if it gives you problems. I actually ran into that, and that's why I got my pedals. My stages died on me for water infiltration, and I had to send it in and get it repaired. So I sent it in and got it repaired. I was riding on my kicker, and I set a few better numbers. Not big numbers, but, you know, 3 or 4% shows up when you race on a new power meter for like a week.
Carry Star 86.
So-
right. You need to actually be able to race.
That was kind of the transition that I did, is I sent my stages in to get repaired, so I had to ride my kicker. That was my only option. And I almost was feeling guilty because I could see the advantage on the power. And it was like 3 or 4%, and I was struggling with it. Like, you know, it's that inner struggle of I feel like I'm racing wrong. I feel like there's a problem. I don't want people to not trust me. And that's when I bought my pedals. And this was right before I went to Roanoke. If you guys remember before it was CBR World Cup, when it was just, was it even CBR or was it just like Cyclogent where we did the arena
Bath salts.
in Roanoke? I got my pedals like 2 weeks before that.
W_E_S_T_Y. Yeah, that why I wanted to get feedback, make sure I don't get myself called out or something.
Yeah, no, I think you're good. So I bought the pedals right before I went to Roanoke that time.
Carry Star 86. The kicker is a lot better than it used to be.
Yeah, it was XRS, you're right. The talking is really getting old. So, when I got the pedals, I actually called Frank Garcia. And I'm like, alright, like, the pedals are higher, the kicker's higher, I've been racing on the stages, like, I don't want to be a BS guy. So, and Frank was basically like, at 4 or 5%, don't stress about it, come and race, like, and the Neo that we had there matched perfectly with my pedals. So at that point, I had a Neo matching my pedals, matching my kicker, and the stages was the only low one. So my first 200 races on Zwift were with a power meter that was taking away 3% of my power, and I didn't know it. But I had a real inner struggle stepping up to the other power meter at first, because I didn't want. I can feel what you're feeling, Westy. I didn't want people to think I was cheating. Oh, he all of a sudden got stronger. We can feel 3 or 4%, guys. I don't know that our competitors will notice it, but I can feel it in a race. Yeah, absolutely, Chris, and thank you for saying that. I agree. The fact that the fact that Tyler's asking the question says a lot to Tyler's character, because, and I take this for granted, guys, because I've raced 3 live events now. If anybody calls me out, go look at my numbers in live events where it was on equipment that was not mine. Yeah, people selectively ignore things for their own benefit sometimes, right? So, I have the advantage, and I sometimes need to kind of gut check, because somebody who doesn't know me, and I've had this in races where, like, people will kind of give me shit in a race, and I'll kind of, you know, kind of tongue-in-cheek say something back, and then somebody else in the race kind of gets a little offended by it, and like, dude, what are you, some kind of like Cat 1 pro? You're like, kind of gets mouthy about it, and then later they'll be like, oh, like, I haven't been around very long, I didn't realize. So, I have to kind of do that gut check to realize that I have kind of that indisputable evidence from live events and stuff that most people don't have. And everyone wants to protect their image. Everyone wants to protect their they want to make sure they don't ruin their reputation, protect that reputation out there. And I think that comes to some of the other things we've discussed tonight. It's, there are things that I've done in races that people get mad about that I don't do them anymore because it just isn't worth it. The intent wasn't to be negative to anybody else, but I understand how it comes off that way, so you kind of have to do a gut check and be like, yeah, it ain't worth that. Like, I want to be a positive contribution to the community, so You kind of got to let some of that stuff go. It was interesting. I looked at my numbers today compared to my it was my my race in CVR. I don't know, Westy, to be honest with you. Do you need a special internet to stream? No. You don't need special internet. You need, let me shut off the fan here. Yeah, your upload. I think a full... Yeah, that's intended to heat things up, but you're better to heat them up longer than that. The factory spin down is doing something a little bit different, Westy. It's actually, it does 2 different spin downs. One of those is, it's, I had to shut off the voice because I was like, whoa, I can't talk over the voice. Where was that? Factory spin down only makes you warm up for 3 minutes. The factory spin down's doing something a little bit different. The main thing that it is doing is, it's doing a spin down on the electronic brake. So, the normal spin down that you do spins up to 23 miles an hour, and it slows down with no drag on the unit at all, and it sees how long basically the bearings and the friction within the unit take the spin down, and it uses that as a calibration calculation, basically to see how much power it takes to physically spin the machine. The other spin down is a spin down that measures the force of the electronic brake. So that spin down, you spin up to 23 miles an hour, and it applies a known amount of voltage to the electronic brake and measures the spin down time. So what it is calculating is basically how strong is my electronic magnet, and the other spin down is how much physical drag is in the machine when the magnet is off. And those 2 things determine your overall calibration of your kicker. What they say is the factory spin down, or that factory performance spin down, doesn't need to be repeated because the strength of your electronic brake should not change over time, and it should not be impacted by heat. So they claim you don't have to do that on ever. Do it once and done. I do that maybe once every 6 months on mine. I don't do it a lot. But the factory spin down, if you're having some issues, that factory spin down's not a bad idea. So back to the question on special internet to stream with. You don't need anything special. You need to a full HD stream. Like I stream at 45 megabits, right? For 4500 bit rate. So I need a, what is that, a 4.5 megabit upload pipeline, right? Like a full HD stream is going to take, 3 or 4 megabits. But a lesser stream, you can get by with a decent 720 stream at that number Basalt was pointing out. And this is the upload number, not the download number, the upload number. So if I test my internet's pretty rocking here. We'll see what it does with the stream going. Let's see if it even impacts it. Yeah, mine's pretty slow right now with the stream going. A clean test on mine will usually get up to 300. On this setting, you can see it slowly climbing. Kicker. What are you putting the air in, bath salts? I think there might be too much air between your ears. My internet's really slow right now, but I've got all this stuff open. And I got music streaming. I got a lot of other stuff running. But you can see pretty much a solid 50. Yeah, altitude shouldn't... I don't think altitude will make a difference on the electronic brake. It shouldn't. The electronic brake's all about electronic efficiency and, like, currents. And I don't think current across the wire or anything like that is going to change anything on a kicker. You might need to recalibrate your lungs. 60 meters isn't much, though, is it? It's 150 feet. Come on, fast lungs. You're moving up the hill. 6 floors up. Come on. Alright. I think that's it for tonight, guys. Sorry, I got on a little bit of a rantiness tonight. 600 meters total. Sorry, I got a little bit ranty on that one topic tonight, but I'm struggling a little bit with some of that stuff in the community, so we do got some boys out here riding. We got Rocket's ride going. Is he... 3.2 miles to go on Rocket's ride. We got Toledo Torpedo. He's just 11 miles in. And, I haven't seen the old Torpedo out here in a while. Johnny Rocket, is just about done with his ride. And it looks like Toledo might go for a little while. So let's throw it over to Adam here. And, give him a raid. Guys, thanks for joining me tonight. It's been fun. It's been a good day. We'll be here tomorrow. See how things go. Westy, yeah, I'll be curious, Tyler, how your stuff goes as you play with the kicker a little bit. But I'm glad you got the new parts. Mine feels good. Feels real good. So I'm happy I got the maintenance done on mine. Somebody was asking about the maintenance. I'll have to go back and look to see who that was. But we're going to get the raid going here, guys, and call it quits. Have a good night. And we'll see you all tomorrow.